Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the garage. I'm out here on a Sunday afternoon. I'm gonna work on the window motor on this passenger side that I've been meaning to get to. Back in the fall, I realized that I had to replace the bushings on both sides, but then the window motor died on this passenger side and I got stuck with it open. So I went ahead and zip tied it until the season was over, so I could at least get as much driving in before I put it away for the winter. So, well, let me show you what we're getting into here. So as you can see, I already have the door panel removed, and there's that zip tie I was talking about that was holding it up. And here's where the motor is, for those of you who aren't familiar. I'm not sure that all of them come with these. It might just be the earlier ones, but if you notice, there's flathead screws. There's one hidden back in there too. There it is. And then one on the bottom here too. Those three screws come out, and as you can see, I already disconnected back in the fall. I had already disconnected this, but it's hanging down in the bottom here. You can see it back there. And the new one I got from LMR is ready to go. It comes already pigtail on it, no splicing or anything. I will say one thing. You have to be careful with these. I went ahead and ordered the screw set for the bolt set for this, and I'm glad I did, because it comes with more than you need. It comes with enough to do both sides, but it comes with 10. You need 3 on each side, and you have to these motors don't come tapped, and these screws are supposed to be self-tapping. You're relying on the original self-tappers on the car, and having mine be flathead, there was no way I was going to use those. And sure enough, as I was doing this before setting this up, I snapped one of these off. Luckily, I had enough to grab a hold of with a pair of vice grips, and I undid this little mistake and got it out of there. As you can see, it gnarled it up a little bit, but no big deal. And luckily, I only had one bolt as a casualty, so I still have extra for the other window. Before I bought this car, the guy that I bought it from said he replaced it, so hopefully I'm good to go on that. But I do have to do that other side for the bushings and the guide rod, so maybe when I'm in there, I might have to change that out anyhow. Who knows? We'll see when we get there. Well, let's go ahead. I'm going to get, as you can see, I've got a few tools here. I did, even though I have the zip tie on there, I still put tape on the window just in case. The last thing I want is this thing to come slamming down and crack. Right now, the tension of the motor is on there. In fact, that's why I put the motor back in, I think it was October that happened. I went ahead and put the motor back in because it actually does give it some resistance, so it doesn't move around in there and bounce around. Without that on there, just the zip tie was not going to hold it. So, plus it gave me a little added security from, keeping people from getting into the car. I mean, if they really wanted to, they'll get in anyhow, but just for peace of mind. So let's go ahead and get started on this. This is not real involved. This is usually one of the easier things you can do. I am going to go ahead and take all of them but this one over here out and do that one last. That way I can get my hand up in there. It's probably going to be the most difficult one to get to. And if we have to, we'll get a magnet to get these out of here when they fall out, if I can't catch them. I'm really kind of questioning whether these came stock like this, and maybe this has already been replaced once. I just can't imagine from factory they came with flathead screws. That one's down below there, just making sure. See if I can drop all of them. Save that one. Now, as you're going to see, this is where the true test is. When this comes off the window, if I didn't have that, so you can feel it right there, I heard it thud. If I didn't have the zip tie on there, this window would have come down. It's holding, that zip tie is holding it from coming down. If you look inside, and I'll show you afterwards, after I get this out of here, what the inside of these motors look like, you'll see it's the gear that's holding it, engaging to the window mechanism inside and keeping it from falling. Good old flathead screws. Hopefully my head's not in the way. And I'm really just trying to hold on to it in here because I don't want it coming down and nicking other wires for like the lock mechanism or the speakers and things like that. There we go. And here we go. Yep, it's a Ford original. And as you can see, there's what's holding it on. This motor is really greasy. So we're going to go ahead and start putting the new one in there. I'm going to go ahead and take this over to the bench and get the other one. See if this thing goes right in. Sometimes it just meshes right in, and sometimes it doesn't. Let's see. Let me show you this too. I did put a very light coat of white lithium grease on there. I use Lucas, if you're wondering. Probably doesn't need it because you saw all of it that was on there to begin with. But I just wanted, just peace of mind, a little bit extra hurt. Okay. Let's see if we mesh. It's not meshing real well right now. What you basically have to do if it doesn't mesh is play around with it until you feel it catch, and then clock it back. Think. No. I may end up getting a mirror for this so that we can see in there. Yep, I think we got it right there. Yep. So I'm going to do that top one first. Maybe not. We'll chase that one in a minute. It's running away. It doesn't want to go in here. Now remember, I had to thread these earlier and cut the threads into it with the screws or bolts. And this is why you can see it. You want to do that before you get your hands all in here and contorted and dealing with also having to cut threads. It's a nightmare. So make sure you do those separately on your bench, driveway, or whatever. I can remember back in the day having to do stuff like this, even in a parking lot. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger and makes you appreciate what's going on. But let me go chase that other one here, and I'll be right back. So I got the runaway bolt. I ran quite a ways too. It was almost all the way up the front of the car. Like I said, that happens in a parking lot or in your driveway when you're not working in the garage. That can be a total headache. I'm gonna go ahead. I started with a deep socket for this reason. It's just easier when you're trying to thread something to begin with. You can take it off the wrench and do it by hand. You can get into those deep areas of the door and not have to use 20 or 30 different extensions that are just wobbling all over the place. There's probably a torque for these. I'm not concerned. I'm just going to do them tight, snug them up, and then a little extra at the end. Now, I will say one thing. You do have to go around this track. So when you first go to put it in, it doesn't just go straight in there. You gotta go back away from that track and around, or tilt it underneath the track. It's about 4 or 5 inches from the bottom. There's room to do it, but if you just go straight at it, trying to go right to where it rests or mounts, you're gonna frustrate yourself because of that window track on the front of the window. Those are feeling pretty good. I'm happy with that. Now I get to fish the wiring harness up through there. And once again, you need to make sure that you're not going and getting it behind that track. You want it on this side of the track, so on the inner side of the door. So when you go up through there, you're going to fish it through here and up to that old connection. Easier said than done. I may have to push that over here. There we go. This might have been handy to have a pair of needle nose pliers to fish that through, but I think we got it. There we go. Now, this is also the time to make sure that that is not catching on anything, and it doesn't hurt to go ahead and get a flashlight and shine it down in there. I can tell that it's going down that side of the motor and coming back up, so there shouldn't be anything for it to get in the way of. And then these are grooved so that they fit right in there only one way. And then of course your clip, you'll catch the clip right there. Once again, one more time to make sure that's not catching on anything. There we go. I just kind of put my hand in there. And we should have contact after this. Famous last words. It's going to be a good contact, I'll tell you that. Yeah, it's nice and tight. Now we'll go ahead and reconnect the battery and test it and make sure it goes down. Of course, I need to remember to take that zip tie off first and the tape. I'll be back in a second and we'll see how it works. Okay, let's see if this works. I've got the ignition on. Let's see if we get it to go down. It works. There we go. I'm happy with that. That's one more thing off the list to do this winter. So until next time, I hope you get to get out in the garage and play with your cars.